Hey, hello there. This is Luki from True Bodybuilding. Before we dive in, as I always do, I want to make one very important point absolutely clear. Everything I say in this content is solely and exclusively my own personal opinion. Not everyone is required to agree with this, and that's perfectly all right. Each person may have their own unique experiences, their own conclusions. I am presenting here solely my own arguments, my personal approach to this topic. If someone holds a different view and can present a sensible argument for it, I will absolutely respect that. This content is intended to be purely educational and is open for discussion. Alright then, let's move on to the main subject, quickly. Today, we're going to have a conversation about the combination of GH and peptides. Specifically, we'll explore whether it makes sense to combine synthetic growth hormone with GH secretagogues, which are peptides designed to stimulate the body's natural GH secretion. This particular question comes up very, very often. It sounds quite logical, doesn't it? Because you have a synthetic hormone plus natural stimulation. On paper, well, it really does look like an ideal combination, but as is so often the case, the devil is in the details, and it's not entirely as straightforward as it seems. So let's start with the basics. GH secretagogues are essentially peptides that actively stimulate the pituitary gland to produce its own growth hormone. Their primary function is to trigger these short pulsatile releases of your body's own natural hormone, mimicking what happens in a natural physiological environment. So exactly how the body does it physiologically. The most commonly encountered ones are GHRP, ipamorelin, or CJC. Some of these compounds act through ghrelin receptors, while others specifically target the GHRH receptor. And when they are combined together, they can provide an even more potent and significant growth hormone release stimulus. But here, there is one absolutely crucial key issue. They only function effectively when your own pituitary gland is genuinely active. And now precisely, we must consider the other side of this entire equation. Synthetic growth hormone, exogenous GH, which is essentially a ready-made hormone. You administer it from the outside, completely bypassing the body's entire natural regulatory axis. The organism then receives a clear signal that the hormone is already present. And the effect, well, we all know it. Higher IGF levels, improved regeneration, and a significantly better quality of sleep. Improved fat tissue reduction, wouldn't you agree? What else? Muscle growth support, that is everything growth hormone provides, right? But there's a flip side. At higher GH doses, the body suppresses its own production, just like with any other hormone. The pituitary gland gets the message that it doesn't need to do anything. And this is precisely where we arrive at a truly fundamental and crucial question. So, does combining growth hormone with peptides actually make any real sense? And the answer, as is so very often the case in the complex world of bodybuilding, is it depends. Well, what exactly does that depend on? If you're talking about using relatively low doses of GH, we're specifically referring to perhaps just 1 or maybe 2 or even 3 units per day at the absolute maximum, because in that particular situation, your own pituitary gland would still be actively working, and in a scenario like that, it could potentially make a great deal of sense. It is then that these peptides can significantly boost the body's natural GH pulse. They can complement the effects of this small synthetic dose because it's a dosage typically used for HRT, which stands for hormone replacement therapy. This solution is often particularly effective for individuals undergoing hormone replacement therapy. And also for older people, that is specifically within anti-aging protocols. Pause. This applies whether you're working with a more restricted budget or if someone's main focus is on improving their sleep, enhancing regeneration, and other related benefits. Wouldn't you agree? But if we're talking about entering into higher doses in the range of 5, 8, 10, or even more units per day, then the entire situation changes quite dramatically, doesn't it? The pituitary gland is completely suppressed. The body simply has no reason to produce its own growth hormone because there's already plenty of it available, in fact, even an excessive amount. And at this point, adding peptides, that's really just a complete waste of money because it doesn't yield any noticeable effect at all. The secretagogues simply have nothing left to stimulate. I've sometimes heard and also seen ideas to separate the timing, right? Let's talk about GH secretagogues. Let's say we administer GH at a different time of day, for instance, right before your workout, and then the peptides either in the morning or late at night. Theoretically, this might sound like a really good, clever idea, but in actual practice, it won't have any real significant effect whatsoever when it comes to the natural secretion of your own GH. Because the dominance of exogenous GH will inevitably have its effect when administered in a large dose. And research studies also confirm this particular mechanism. For instance, combinations of compounds like CJC with GHRP are capable of significantly elevating both IGH and IGF levels. However, this beneficial effect ultimately plateaus at a level comparable to what just a few units of synthetic substance can provide. The simplest way to illustrate this is to put it this way. GH is like a bucket, and peptides are like a faucet. If the reservoir is already completely full, then turning on the faucet won't change a single thing, will it? We'll just be pouring into an already full bucket. That's one way to put it, that's one way to illustrate it. So combining GH and peptides only makes sense, well, under very specific conditions, wouldn't you agree? With low doses of GH or perhaps with its complete absence, wouldn't you say? Specifically for health purposes when you are undergoing hormone replacement therapy. However, with high doses of GH, it absolutely does not work at all, and it's simply just a complete waste of your money, isn't it? So, more is not always necessarily better. If you wish to learn about the detailed protocols, application of GH, if you want to delve deeper into this topic, you'll find a complete article on this subject, as always, on the True Bodybuilding forum. There's also a lot of discussion on this topic. I encourage you to participate. I also invite you to create your own topics. If you have a specific question or a particular need to ask about something, links to the forum are in the description, as well as my discount codes. Thank you very much for using them. Thank you for supporting the channel. If this content was helpful in any way, please leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and share it. So take care. See you in the next video. Best regards.